Hey everybody, welcome back to another Krita tutorial. Today it's going to be a really quick and easy one. Nothing too crazy, nothing too long. Very simple to understand and follow along for this. We're going to be going over the current mapping icon down here in the bottom right hand corner in Krita and how that can help you out when you're doing work for either digital or print. So before we get too crazy with that, we're going to go to settings and dockers and to our grids and guides. We're going to want to make sure that the show rulers is on. So this is with it off and this is with it on. And then we'll close that. As you can see, the rulers are going to be showing in pixel dimensions for me, and it matches exactly what the size of this document is, which is 3600 in height and 2400 in width. If you need to change this, which we are going to just for a simple explanation in the video, you can right click on the ruler and go to inches. So as you can see, if I go to 100% and I start moving this around, we see the ruler has 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, blah blah blah, but it's not like super accurate at 100%. Like this is obviously not 1 inch in real life. So if I'm doing some print work and I'm like, okay, but I need to see what this looks like exactly how it should be, I can go down to this little icon and click on that. So at 100%, if I take a ruler, which I have one in my hand, I can line up the ruler with the screen ruler on the top here, and now it is exactly an inch that I'm seeing here. So if I were to take a guide and then just line it up real quick with 1 inch, this is exactly, oh, come on, you can do it. There we go. This is, well, it's not super accurate, but it's close enough. This is basically a 1 inch by 1 inch square in real life. So if I needed to make sure that whatever I'm printing needs to be within certain dimensions, as long as I'm zoomed in at 100%, I can start making some very accurate decisions based on this mapping. So this section here would be, let's see, if I do, I think this is 4 inches. Maybe measure this out with my ruler. Yeah, it's about 4 inches by 3 inches. So that's pretty good. So when I go to print this, I'll know like, okay, this is about 4 inches by 3 inches. That's a pretty good size. When I go to print that, nothing's going to be lost in the detail. This would actually be really helpful for people who are making stickers or enamel pin designs. If you're not sure how big something is going to be when you're drawing it, you can actually switch to this view and measure it out right there on the screen as long as you're at 100% to get the most accurate sizing. So if this were to be made into a sticker, I'd be like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna be big enough. Well, obviously I can see by these guides, this is gonna be, let's see here. I'm just gonna resize this a little bit. It's close enough. I can say, okay, so how big of a sticker would this be? This is gonna be a 3 by 4 sticker. That's a pretty good size. That's perfect. I mean, I make stickers that big anyway, so this is a really good way of just quickly and easily figuring out a size without printing anything, and that saves you a lot of time, and it can also save you a lot of money because, let's face it, printing stuff is not cheap, especially if you're going with a third party to do it for you. And then if you don't need to worry about the print accuracy, you need to just worry about like, oh, I need this to be accurate to the dimensions of my screen or whatever it is I'm doing, you can go back to the other mapping. So if this were to be a size of my monitor screen, it would line up at 100%. So we're gonna just zoom in at 100%. So instead of inches, this is kind of useless for digital, we're gonna go back to pixels. This would be 600 pixels, blah 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 blah. So I could say, if I'm doing my web design, for example, I need something to be specifically at 600 by 500 pixels for maybe a website background. I can actually figure that out now. Like, okay, here's 500 pixels, and then I already have this guide here at 600. Come on. There we go. So I know that this is going to be the general area for whatever it is I'm making zoomed in, right? So this works best when you're zoomed in at 100% because obviously when you go back, this part here was like 4x3. So the more I zoom in, this will start to get a little distorted up here. And that makes sense. It's not like gonna be super accurate when you zoom in because but it's saying within like, hey, this is the 3 to 4 inch range. It's always going to stay in that spot. And that's really it for this tutorial. It's, like I said, it's very simple. It's just a quick setting to switch between the pixel size and what do they call it now? The print size. They did rename it for Krita 5.1 just because it didn't make as much sense. I did find one thread explaining a little bit more in detail, a little bit more more specs that you can play with, so I can link that in the description of the video if you want to kind of play around with it some more. And yeah, that's it for this video. I hope this was easy to understand and I hope this was helpful. I hope that those of you who do a lot of print can find some use out of this. When I saw this and discovered it, I'm like, this is gonna be pretty life-changing for me. I say that every time in every video, but it's true. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to get back to them and answer them to the best of my ability. And I will see you in the next video.